This is 7.5 Radio with Walter Yerkew and Peter Scoop Stanton. This is the radio show that will break your neck, if your neck needs breaking. And here are the hosts of 7.5 Radio, Walter Yerkew, star of the biggest documentary movie ever made, The 7.5, and Peter Scoop Stanton, who starred in To Catch a Predator.
How many more times treat me the way you want to do?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, one and all. This is Peter Scoop Stanton with our field producer, the Peter Grant of Talk Radio himself, Ed Huebner. This is 7.5 Radio. We are red hot rolling on July 25th, 2026. Unfortunately, tonight, Mr. Yerkew is down for the count due to a reaction to some mail-order generic Viagra. And Mike Rickbrand is also out tonight because he once again was smoking raccoon poop. Anyways, we want to say hello to all of our special listeners, including Little Billy Keebler and the men and alleged woman of the Yanadossis New York Fire Department, as well as New York's finest, New York's bravest, New York's boldest, New York's strongest, those living on Long Island, especially in the 2nd Congressional District, as well as all members of Customs and Border Protection and ICE. First order of business, as always, we want to remember members of the law enforcement community who were murdered in the line of duty. Tonight, fortunately, we have no names to read off. Anyways, our guest tonight is not only an artist, but a patriot. I just spoke to our guest a couple minutes before the music kicked in, and wow. His name is Ray Simon. He is from Youngstown, Ohio, the hometown of Dean Martin. And he is an artist, and a very good one. He painted art that's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He made paintings for the NFL, NHL. He made paintings displayed in the White House, the Pentagon, other military bases. And one of the best pictures I've seen of his work is a portrait of President Trump with the words, "We the people," underneath President Trump. And a lot of pictures you see now online are AI, but none of these are AI. Just a hell of a painter and a hell of a person. Mr. Simon, how are we doing tonight, sir?
Good, Scoop. Thank you so much for that introduction. I really appreciate it. And, you know, I said earlier, and for the listeners, I fell in love with God in America at a very early age, and I have not stopped painting about God in America. And you know, when I give talks to high schools and even at the University of Youngstown State, I was asked to speak, and I just, you know, we the people need to realize, and I put this in my paintings, that America came at a great cost. America was never perfect. My paintings, Scoop, were on display at the National Archives in Washington, D.C. with 9 Tuskegee Airmen. Franco Harris commissioned me to do a painting for the Tuskegee Museum in Alabama because Franco Harris, the former running back, who was a dear friend of mine, God rest his soul, for the Steelers and Hall of Famer, mother was Italian, his father was African American. They met in Ramallah, Italy during World War II, 1944. So when I was in D.C., a 98-year-old pilot looked at me and says, "Ray, America was never perfect. She may be the most perfect nation on this planet, but she was never perfect. But we all need to hold her hand as she continually gets well." And that's what's not happening today. It's almost like an outer force when you listen to people saying, "Why are we getting buried? Why is the truth getting buried by the networks who aren't being held accountable?" They're getting buried because they have an ulterior agenda.
Wow.
Well, I think a lot of people have that opinion of what's going on now, and they keep blinking and pinching themselves, wondering when they're going to wake up. And quite actually, that's the reality we're in. And it's what makes your painting so dynamic and so memorable. And some of the paintings I've seen that you've done remind me of a new modern version of a Norman Rockwell, but it's kind of a modern version of God and in certain circumstances politics. The two that I'd like to get a little feedback on how emotional was it for you to do the Charlie Cook blend of his life on that painting, and then there's one that's incredibly dynamic of that famous Trump hand and arm in the air after he was shot. Those two are incredibly emotional, but very, very relevant in what we're all going through literally right now. So any commentary, remarks, or feedback would be wonderful.
You know what's good? They all tell beautiful stories about us, every single painting. In fact, President Trump, one of his favorite paintings that I did is right in Mar-a-Lago, when you walk in, called The Awakening, the Best Is Yet to Come. And in reference to the messages, what I do that keeps me busy, what I do that makes the paintings unique, it's not the style or the way I move the brush. And, you know, when President Trump on Truth Social made a comment about my mural that I did, a 12-foot mural called Forged in Freedom, Destined to the Stars, celebrating America, he wrote, beautiful, great painting, explanation point, and the far left just attacked it. And it's kind of interesting because you'll love this story. So all of a sudden, all the media out there, we're taking shots, and what's the Bible doing on there? It looks like it's AI. Finally, the Google AI platform said, well, we did some research on this artist, and he'd been painting this style since the 80s. So obviously it couldn't be AI. It's airbrush, acrylic with airbrush. And if the viewers that are listening want to look at the artwork, if they go to raysimon.art, they'll see all the paintings I've done for our men and women who serve, our police and firefighters, our presidents, the sports paintings, all tell beautiful stories. The one of Charlie Kirk is down in Phoenix, Arizona, right down in the headquarters of Turning Point. And that painting, to the bottom right, Scoop, there's a picture of Jesus walking away with Charlie Kirk in his arm around Charlie Kirk. And if you read the story of the painting, Jesus comes down and says, Charlie, it's time to come home. And there's a bench there. And on the bench is a microphone. And Jesus tells Charlie, you've created 1,000 times 1,000 voices in my Father's name. It's time to put the microphone down and come home. And coming home is much more beautiful than where you were. And all of your loved ones will be coming home eventually. And then to the right over the bench, there's a white dove with an olive branch. And if you remember Genesis, Noah's Ark, where Noah releases the dove, Scoop, and the dove comes back with an olive branch representing that the waters receded and the reconciliation between God and mankind has begun. Now let's fast forward to 1776. Let's fast forward to Thomas Paine. When Thomas Paine in 1776 said, we have the power to begin this world over again, a situation similar to the present hath not happened since the days of Noah until now. The birthday of a new world is at hand. Charlie Kirk was in the process of creating a new world, and that threatened the establishment. That threatened the powers to be. And you know what, Scoop, let me ask you a question as an artist. As an artist, here's what I ask folks. One question. Have you ever seen a U-Haul behind a hearse? No. And those buildings in the cemetery aren't storage units or mausoleums, because I want to take my Harley with me. And when I pray every night, dear God, can I please take my Harley? I hear a voice say, that's a big fat no. The only thing that we're allowed to take with us when we go are the lives we touch. Good and bad, we're held accountable to. So I just don't understand why people hate America. In every painting that I paint positive things about America, not negative. You know, America was never perfect. but she might be the most perfect nation on this planet. And what I find interesting is, had America not been in place, had the Industrial Revolution that wielded the great arsenal of democracy that ended World War I in 1918, when America entered in 1917, that started in 1914, and we took the world stage in 1945, the great arsenal of democracy.
Wow. Ray, we got a break coming up, but we come back. The floor is yours, sir. Anyways, this is Scoop Stanton with Ed Huebner and artist and patriot Ray Simon. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back on 7.5 Radio. Take it away, boys.
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
As the United States boldly stepped forward in the glorious light provided by its new Constitution in 1787, the nations of the earth were in awe of the newfound strength and hope of this free land. Today, the nation stands at a crossroads. A divergence from the original intent put forth in the United States Constitution has brought grave threats to our beloved nation. A miracle is needed if the United States is to survive. That miracle is again the pure application of the United States Constitution. I'm Scott Bradley. In my To Preserve the Nation book and lecture series, I bring forth truths that will help raise up a new generation of statesmen like those noble Americans who founded this land. Vigorous application of these principles will invigorate and restore the nation, and we may become again the freest, most prosperous, most respected, and happiest nation on earth. Visit topreservethenation.com to begin that restoration.
Former Sheriff Richard Mack recounts in his book The Proper Role of Law Enforcement how he came to realize while working as a beat cop how wrong the all-too-common orientation of police officers is when they think of their job as being to write tickets and arrest people. Richard Mack tells of his personal transformation from vibe and number cop to Constitution-conscious defender of citizen safety and freedoms. Learn what it really means to serve and protect. Purchase your copy at cspoa.org. That's cspoa.org.
You're back, and Scoop is just getting done staring at Danila's Instagram account. Here's more 7.5 Radio.
And we are back. Scoop Stanton with our field producer Ed Huebner and our guest Ray Simon. Check out his art at raysimon.art. That's raysimon.art. I'm going to pass it over to Ed. He's got a question for Mr. Simon. Go ahead, Ed.
Ray, the historical value of what you're talking about on through the ages and through the years, and here we are today facing a lot of things that worldwide affected people back in the 1930s and 40s, and here we are confronting a lot of the same issues, and you're the first art type of artistic person that has gone out and painted their God and painted their truth and painted reality. And I'm just wondering, much like people that have been in different industries in the United States that have come out and voiced what you're painting and what they have to go through, and all the hate and everything that they're going through because they're coming out speaking their truth. What have you found yourself embroiled in as you continue, as you said, for many, many years? You've been doing this, and it's truly a heartfelt, God-felt, and tremendous skill and talent. But what's the price you're paying as you continue to do this great work in today's world?
It's funny you asked that, Ed. Today, 2 weeks ago, The Guardian When President Trump, Truth Social, made a comment about my painting, The Guardian just literally attacked the painting and the artist and blah, blah, blah. You know what? To me, it doesn't matter. I know where my heart is. I know what, you really need to have a good understanding of history, Ed, to understand where we're going, where we are right now, what's happening in the world. Not that I know everything, but I'm sitting closer to the stage than a lot of the people in the far left. They're sitting closer to the stage to get a good view of what people are trying to do. If America, by God forbid, falls, the world will become unrecognizable. Earlier, before the commercial break, I said, had America not took her role on the world stage, because of America, you have a free Germany, Italy, France, Japan, South Korea, Great Britain would have fell. The world today would be unrecognizable. Did it come at a great cost? Absolutely. When I was on NPR radio, I mentioned that it came at a great cost to the American natives and slaves unknowingly, unwillingly. Their sacrifice is a huge part of the free world as we know it today. But I also said to the listeners, most of us listening on the radio will die in a hospital with morphine. But if somebody came up to you and says you have the opportunity to die for a cause that's unjust at that moment, but it's far greater than you can ever imagine, I'm signing up. And that's what America is the anchor. George Washington called this continent divine providence from Genesis, from the First Testament. But he translated divine providence into this continent is God's corporate headquarters to implement civil liberties and freedoms throughout the world, because the world would be unrecognizable. And you asked the question about the flack that I got because of what I paint. Well, when Charlie Kirk was living, I would go to turning point functions and I would tell the stories of the paintings, whether it's George Washington, that's in the Washington Presidential Library, the painting I did of Abraham Lincoln, that's in the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library. And one person raised their hand and said, well, your country was founded on Christian values. I said, well, you're partially right. It was founded on Judeo-Christian values. 1603, when it came over on the Magna Carta, right? And I asked them, I said, but what I find interesting, it's those Judeo-Christian values that put a clad iron umbrella over this country that allows you to worship whoever you want to worship. You can worship your cup of coffee if you choose to. Now, why don't you go to Iran and try to worship Christianity and tell me how that works out for you?
You're absolutely right. And, I lived overseas for a while when I was serving these United States in the Navy. And, depending on what country you went to, it's like the majority company worshipped that particular religion, whether Islam, Christianity, and, well, I've never been to Israel, so, but anyways, but you're absolutely right. But real quick, how did you get into arts? Was it a gift from, was it divine intervention? Was it from a school? Because, during the break, Ed and I were looking at your painting of Charlie Kirk, and it was just absolutely just gut-wrenching.
Well, I've been painting Ed my whole life, and I went to the Art Institute of Pittsburgh, and I picked up airbrushing, and I haven't stopped. And I've been fortunate because a lot of people around me, one of President Trump's very good friend, J.J. Cafaro, who has commissioned me to do lots of paintings. One of President Trump's favorite painting is The Awakening, The Best Is Yet to Come. And an interesting story for the listeners, I'll never forget when J.J. Cafaro and President Trump go back to the 70s with their friendship. They're both in real estate developing. And J.J. said, Ray, explain to Donald about the lone eagle that I painted. And in that painting, there's a lone eagle flying over. And I said, Mr. President, from day one of your presidency, we, the people, saw you overcome what we saw insurmountable challenges by people that were pure evil. And many times you stood alone. Malevolent forces will have their moments in time as surely as evil will inherently topple itself. God's immutable governing power throughout history always writes what's wrong in the end. President Trump, you held that vision as sacred. And, it's just the awakening. The people, we need to wake up and really take a look. and to me, not being cruel, but you really get a grip on. Now I understand how people drank the Kool-Aid in Guyana. Now I understand. We're all at the age. Go ahead.
No. Please finish your thought.
We're all at the age. You remember that commercial where Ringo Starr walked out in the early '90s, and William Shatner and Ringo Starr said, "This is not your father's Oldsmobile." Remember that commercial?
Yeah.
We're that old.
This is not wait. This is not my mother and father's Democratic Party. I can assure you, without a reason of a doubt, if Fred Sanford had a sister, it would be my mother. My dad was a decorated World War II veteran, 101st Airborne, June 6, 1944. The invasion of Normandy ended up in Bastogne, which I did the painting for Johnny Morse, the owner of Bass Pro, called Unbroken. But I can assure you that if my mother was here, if it was 1971 when I was at St. Ed's in Youngstown, Ohio, and I told my mother that I wanted to try out for the girls' volleyball team, she would get a small baseball bat and say, "Come here, you son of a, you know what? I'll show you." Right? So they have, the Democratic Party has become unrecognizable. I mean, you look what's going on with Graham Plattner, and then you got Ashley Webb. I mean, you couldn't write a science, almost like a horror flick. You couldn't write a more horrific story than what's going on in the Democratic Party today. You just can't.
It's pretty unbelievable. I'm an old fossil, according to my grandson, and I wear that like a badge because he still calls me Papa. And here he is, 22 years of age, but when he was 6, he had this really tiny voice when he'd Papa, Papa. Now it's like Papa, Papa, but he's still calling me Papa. So I take that as a badge of courage. Living through the 1960s and 70s, there was such a wonderful blending of music by all cultures, all colors and races in the United States. And what I see in your painting is that you have a chance and you're actually doing something in the painting world that can help people actually feel something that watching TV isn't giving them. They see what's happening, but it hasn't quite hit them where it needs to yet. So I would say continue to do your heartfelt work. And do you have anything maybe in a transitional way to help other middle-of-the-road Democrats get it through one of your, let's say, a hybrid type of painting geared to maybe help them see some Democrat stuff that they just aren't getting yet? And I know that's a very, very hypothetical thing, but anyway, your thoughts on that?
It's funny. We were I was up in Cleveland doing a signing today, and there was a lot of Democrats there, and some of them were whatever. But all that being said, there were one of the person who was left looked at the painting I did called Generations of Freedom, and I explained to them about how this country came together and the cost of those who sacrificed their lives in the establishment of this nation, and how the world would be if this nation wasn't in place. And when in the painting, there's an eagle's nest, but it's bedded with the American flag. And you know what, Ed and Scoop, when we all go home, our home's our safe house, right? Well, that eagle's nest is its safe house, but it's bedded with red for blood, white for purity, blue for valor. And safely resting in that eagle's nest are 3 eggs. And as the rays of light, go ahead, you have a commercial coming up.
Ray, unfortunately, we're going to have to let you go, but please, we want you back on 7.5 Radio. Hell, you can host the show. But anyways, check out RaySimon.art. That's RaySimon.art. We'll be right back. Thank you, everybody.
How would you like to help this program reach more people and earn silver at the same time? Call or text 801-669-2211 for complete details.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Mary Rose. President Trump returned to a rescheduled White House Correspondents' Dinner last night.
3 months after a gunman cut short the White House Correspondents Association dinner, they gave it another try Friday night. And instead of being held at the Washington Hilton, it was held at the Waldorf Astoria, Washington, D.C., which used to be the Trump International Hotel. Trump said it was great to be back at a place he knows so well.
As I said 3 months ago, the show must go on.
Trump's speech, which lasted a little more than an hour, was full of pot shots at Barack Obama, Representative Ilhan Omar, and California Governor Gavin Newsom. I'm Donna Woodard.
A heat dome is set to expand across much of the central United States.
Temperatures will be above 100 degrees from Dallas to North Dakota. About 70 million people will face heat advisories. Forecasters say the heat will stretch from the desert Southwest to the Gulf Coast and into the Midwest and Gulf Plains. However, some areas like the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast won't be hit by such severe weather. The elderly and children are especially at risk of heat-related illnesses. Relief might come to the central U.S. toward next weekend. John Scott reporting.
A second Secret Service agent from Vice President J.D. Vance's protective detail has been placed on administrative leave amid an internal investigation.
The agents are suspected of leaking sensitive operational details to MS Now for a July 15th story that portrayed the Vance family as burdensome. The article revealed agents' frustrations with last-minute travel requests and other sensitive details. This follows a similar incident in January, prompting an internal affairs investigation. The Vice President's office thanked the agents while noting the unique challenges of protecting a family with young children. Bernie Bennett reporting.
More at townhall.com.
Larry Elder here. When it comes to supplements, two things matter most: whether it works and whether you can trust it. Rather than just tell you about Relief Factor, we'll let our customers do it. We hear from people every day whose lives have changed, and we'd like you to hear their stories. Doug took Relief Factor for a year before convincing his wife, a special needs teacher, to try it. She'd been using assistance just to move through the long hallway at school. Now she's back on her feet and never had to leave the job she loves. I take Relief Factor every single morning for back issues. I don't take Relief Factor, the issues come back. It's easy to find out if you'll be the next person telling us Relief Factor gave you back what you love. 3 weeks, just $17.76. Go to ReliefFactor.com, ReliefFactor.com, or call 1-800-4-RELIEF. You'll connect with our friendly local team, and they will do everything they can to help. We hope you'll soon be sharing your story with us. ReliefFactor.com, 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Why don't we say to the government writ large that they have to spend a little bit less? Anybody ever had less money this year than you had last? Anybody ever having a 1% pay cut? You deal with it. That's what government needs, a 1% pay cut. If you take a 1% pay cut across the board, you have more than enough money to actually pay for the disaster relief. But nobody's going to do that because they're fiscally irresponsible. Who are they? Republicans. Who are they? Democrats. Who are they? Virtually the whole body is careless and reckless with your money. So the money will not be offset by cuts anywhere. The money will be added to the debt, and there will be a day of reckoning. What's the day of reckoning? The day of reckoning may well be the collapse of the stock market. The day of reckoning may be the collapse of the dollar. When it comes, I can't tell you exactly, but I can tell you it has happened repeatedly in history when countries ruin their currency.
In the medical field, IT security is crucial. Our highly skilled consultants are HIPAA certified and have 20-plus years of experience servicing medical clinics, billing, and supply companies. We offer comprehensive endpoint protection, guarding your computers and servers against all stages of threats. And with our 24/7 monitoring services, you'll never worry about extensive downtime again. Ready to level up your IT support? Call 801-706-6980 today and discover how great IT services can be with managed IT services.
Bypass the mainstream narrative with Liberty News Radio at libertynewsradio.com. Engage with charismatic hosts live or on demand. We cover the crucial news focused on God, family, and country. News that other networks simply refuse to use. Think of LNR's hard-hitting news and podcast at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Join us at libertynewsradio.com. Empower your day with the truth, because the truth will set you free. libertynewsradio.com.
you're still listening, here's more 7.5 Radio.
And we are back. That was a hell of an interview with Ray Simon. Once again, folks, check out his artwork. It's raysimon.art. That's raysimon.art. And we will have him back sooner or later, hopefully. But anyways, this I'm glad Ed is with me, not only because Walter had an adverse reaction for some generic mail order Viagra from Mexico, and Mike is out because he was smoking raccoon poop once again. But we 7.5 Radio made its mark at a political fundraiser. Now, Tony Sabio, who's running for Congress in Virginia 8th District, had a fundraiser. Tony is a friend of the show, and he's a friend of ours. So I reached out to my good buddy, Ed Huebner. I said, hey, Ed, my buddy Tony's having a thing at the American Legion. What's his name? Dwight Schultz, who played H.M. Murdock from the A-Team, is going to be there. He's like, okay, I'll be there. So no problem. So we show up, and I'm wearing a red, white, and blue tie. Ed's wearing a red, white, and blue shirt, and he's wearing a hat. And we come in, and we meet Tony, and Ed fell in love with Tony immediately because, Tony is one of us. He's a stand-up guy. And there is H.M. Howling Mad Murdock himself, Dwight Schultz. So Ed and I do what we do best. We got some a couple beers and some appetizers, and stood next to Mr. Schultz and just talked about ourselves. So they had a auditorium where they had people sit down. So Ed and I sat in the front because since we're so tall, we like the leg room. And Dwight, who's been an actor for years, he's retired because he decided he
upper 70s,
right, and looking good for almost an 80-year-old man. So he talked about how in the 80s he was a up and coming actor, and somebody overheard how he supported Reagan, and this producer sounded like Woody Allen. It was what's his name, Paltrow or something. Said, "Oh, you won't work in this town, a-hole." So really touching story about how conservatives in Hollywood are.
And this is back in the early 1980s.
Right.
This is not something that just occurred in Hollywood in the last 10, 20 years. This goes way back.
Right. And he really touching story about how him and other conservatives are almost like in the closet, or in the shadows, and they have to meet in secret. There's a group called Friends of Abe, and from what I could tell, when Ben Shapiro got involved, he ruined it. Just a really nice story, very animated, and he still has it. I mean, you could tell immediately the guy is a talent. And so they had a Q&A section, and Ed had a couple of very important questions for Mr. Schultz. Concerning his co-star. Ed, take it away. What did you ask Dwight Schultz?
Well, it was quite an honor, but I said I've got a couple of lighthearted questions and then a real question. But the first question was, how long was he an actor for the A-Team, in the A-Team, and did Mr. T actually beat Rocky? And everybody cracked up because they knew it was just a lighthearted thing. His story spanned like 30 years, so we listened to an intense story about how he was a young actor in Hollywood, and it was every bit as bad then for conservative actors as it is now. And it really was an amazing story to hear from a real live person. And then to have Tony Sabio, who is an incredible candidate in the 8th District in Arlington, Virginia. There are people that you meet every now and then that in the first 2 or 3 minutes, you know that that person is somebody you don't normally meet because their realism is just shining, and they don't even have to say much, and you just know that they are just a great quality person. So, yeah, there was some lighthearted stuff in there, and Scoop and I were like elbowing each other, like, are we misbehaving, or is it really, is it okay? So when everybody was laughing, I guess it was okay for that moment. But most of it was really a good, serious. did not feel like a candidate political type of meeting. It felt like home. It really had a sense of humanity and reality and just a people type gathering, almost like a family gathering, except better, because nobody was arguing.
Right, and nobody's asking anybody for any money. Or it's like, hey, you got my money yet? Anyways, that's what we do in the Stanton household. But so moving right along, so it's going great. But a couple of veteran groups came out. Then there's another gentleman Tony worked with Secret Service. He was like a county supervisor or something. I forgot his name, but he'll be on the show sooner or later. Really nice guy. And then Ed and I were sitting in the front for leg room and just behaving for once. And then Tony, towards the end of it, Tony said, "Oh yeah, by the way, there's a real talented radio show here." He looked right at me, and I was looking around. I was like, "Where?" So he's like, "No, we can Scoop Stanton. It was 7.5 radio." And then lady asked, like, "It's like, what, radio?" It's like, "Yes, I host a radio show. I'll be hosting Saturday night at 10 o'clock p.m. So Tony really gave us a huge shout-out. I couldn't be any happier or thankful for Tony. And so then it was a Q&A session. Actually, before the Q&A session, they were going back and forth. And Dwight is a real talent. And then it was about to end, and then, like I always say, when 2 or more people from 7.5 Radio show up to any events, a party, a funeral, a crime scene, a criminal lineup in a police station, it is an official 7.5 Radio sanctioned event. So Dwight said a couple words, really great speech. Tony said a couple things, really, I mean, God almighty, I hope he wins it. Not because he's a friend of ours, but just because he's a real stand-up guy. And then Ed wanted to say a couple words. Ed, take it away.
Oh, I can't believe this. I'd done some work in previous campaigns, and one of the things, because this was at the end of a great 1-hour gathering after a 1-hour semi-cocktail hour, but it really was more friendly appetizers and hors d'oeuvres. But so I got up and I asked people, and this really is a little bit of a different take than what probably most of you have ever heard. So you got to listen to it a little bit more in depth. But I stood up, introduced myself, and I asked them how much a day do they spend on food. And I wasn't looking for an answer from them, but they were acknowledging the questions. I asked them, how much a week do you spend on your food for you and your family? $200-300 a week? How much a month do you spend on your utility bills? Some people spend $200-400 on utility bills. How much a month do you spend on your mortgage payment or your rent, which is a larger sum of money? And I said, because you all have children and grandchildren, how important is their future to you? What does it cost to keep America going? How much do you need to spend or want to spend so that your grandchildren will have a future? And I said, when you look at the cost of what you spend daily on food, weekly food, utilities, car payments, it's a drop in the bucket to what it costs to keep America going. It's a drop in the bucket for creating a future for your children and your grandchildren. So I'm asking people to really do some soul searching, because Republican people do not like to part with their money. They have all these wonderful thoughts in their heart and in their head, but their wallet is nowhere to be found. Republicans are noted for not wanting to donate and fundraise for politicians that they love and believe in. So I'm taking a little bit of a reasoning and offering it to each and every one of you. And if you find it valid, pass it on to your loved ones, your relatives, your community. But we all spend a lot of money on a lot of stuff. But when it comes to ensuring that America survives and ensuring that our kids and our grandkids have a future in America, the America we know and love. Consider this go-round with the midterms coming up, whether it's local, state, or national elections. Please give the money that our representatives who need it, give them what you can.
All right, with that, we'll be right back with the end of this very enjoyable story. This is 7.5 Radio on Liberty News Radio Network. Stay tuned, everybody.
Are you ready to stand up for your community and support your local sheriff? Join the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association and become a vital member of the Sheriff's Citizens Posse. At cspoa.org, we empower citizens like you through weekly webinars, arming you with the knowledge to back your constitutional county sheriff. Together, we can uphold our Constitution and ensure liberty and justice for all. Your community needs you now more than ever.
Attention collectors and savvy investors. We are excited to announce a momentous evolution in our journey. Introducing Free Water Coin Company, formerly known as Rust Coin and Gift. This rebranding takes us back to the very roots of where it all began, Free Water, Oregon. It's a tribute to the legacy of Al Rust and a celebration of 3 generations of dedication to excellence in the world of coins and precious gifts. Al, Brian, and Jake Rust standing strong through 64 years of service. Discover a world of exceptional service at Free Water Coin Company, your premier destination for genuine, honest money and precious gifts. Under Brian's expert guidance, Free Water Coin Company, building on the legacy of Rust Coin and Gift, continues its tradition of trust and excellence. Visit us at our Provo, Utah location. Explore our treasures online at freewatercoinco.com or call us at 801-377-1574. Free Water Coin Company, where your future is built one honest coin at a time.
This is a battle between truth and deceit. A battle between forces that would enslave this country in darkness and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in fact.
TheEpochTimes.com.
This is 7.5 Radio with Walter Yuku. Walter Yurkow. Walter Kiwi. Here's Walton Scoop.
Anyways, this is Scoop Stand with Ed Huebner tonight. And during those very important commercials about whatever it is that supports 7.5 Radio, that do support Liberty News Radio, I was doing my due diligence, I can verify, and looking at the Instagram account of our wonderful spokesmodel, Danila Rodrigues. Go to Instagram, go to DanilaRodrigues.model. That's DanilaRodrigues.model. Also, I was looking at the website of our friend Tony Sabio. Go to Sabio for Congress. That's Sabio, F-O-R, Congress.com. Anyways, like I was saying before, Tony is a stand-up guy. Him and Ed hit it off immediately. And one thing about me is that I can tell within 30 or 60 seconds if somebody's a good person or just a hairbag. And with Ed, first I met him in just 10 seconds, wow, this guy's it. And same thing with Tony. Somebody said, hey, this is when I was introduced to Tony, he's like, hey, this is Tony Sabio. I was like, oh, okay. And Tony has a lot of background, similar background like me, prior to law enforcement, prior Navy, family man, so on and so forth. But Ed, you met Tony for the first time, and it looked like you had the same look at Tony that you do at me. What's your opinion on Mr. Sabio?
Well, Scoop, I knew you were somebody I had to get to know a little bit better, but the jury was still out on the whole thing. But anyway, you are aces no matter what. Yeah, we walked in Scoop and I walked into the American Legion at the same time, and Tony was standing at the front greeting people. This young girl was at the computer, working the computer for people that were checking in, and you could tell that her mother was standing next to her, just the way she was helping this young girl. So it was very easy to see that this was Tony's family, his wife and daughter. And it just, I mean, I'm still walking up to checking in, so I'm about 10 feet away, 8 feet away, 5 feet, and then I'm standing in front of them. And before I even said hello or they asked me my name, I'm thinking, wow, this is something. The magic was there, the glow was there, the sincerity, everything was blinking like a pinball game. It was just going off in my head. And he just is one heck of a guy. His stories about his service to our country, his stories about his neighborhood and community, what he sacrifices for his VA vets, his leadership role within the military and other associated jobs with the military. Just unbelievable. This is the kind of guy, but yet he is so human and real. And I turned to him at one point and I said, I got to tell you, I said, and you know in your heart where you're coming from. He goes, absolutely. It's written in stone. And I said, I got to tell you, the one word that comes up when I look at you and listen to you is just real. Real. When somebody is real, I give them the floor and I honor them any way I can, because there are so many fake and hateful people out there that when I see somebody real like him, it's like, what can I do to help? What can I do to help? And the magic continued as we all kind of got into the room when it was time to listen to the special guests and to listen to Tony speak. So every Republican type of GOP gathering, we start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, with the Pledge of Allegiance, and his son and daughter led us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then it was just magical the way the whole family, it was a big family feeling with the group of people that were all there. Quite a turnout. And it was just something that Scoop and I, we were expecting something a little bit more technical, a little bit more political. And we looked at the end of it and we thought this was not a political event at all. It was an event with human beings just saying how I'm going to do better for this community than other people have in the past. So you have to remember this guy, Tony Sabio in the 8th District, out of Arlington in Northern Virginia. He's the real deal.
Right. And I got to hand it to Tony. First of all, he let you speak. You didn't know you from a hill of beans, and you knocked out of the park as usual. I was gleaming because, again, if 2 or more people show up at any event from 75 Radio, it is now a 75 Radio sanctioned event. And then he introduced us to Dwight. And that Dwight Schultz is the most down-to-earth, nicest guy I ever met,
and very articulate too. Amazing.
Right, he's very intelligent. He knows the stuff. And then we're talking about booking him on the show, and hopefully we make it happen because Dwight does live in Virginia, so we're thinking like me, Tony, Dwight, and of course our field producer Peter Grant himself, Ed Huebner, and so it's just a really great event. It was like I was walking there. It's like I can't believe this is happening, and then people are coming up to us like, "Oh, what kind of radio do? Oh, we do political radio. Lots of we're a fun type of show, and we're not too seriously."
And this wasn't even a radio event. This was something that, by the grace of Tony and the grace of God, that he introduced Scoop, and it was like everybody opened up. And afterwards, I mean, everybody was checking in with Scoop. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yep. And a couple of these people could be residents at nursing homes, but luckily Walter's not here to bust my chops. But Anyways, but David says, like, yeah, we're a different kind of show. Here's our field producer. He's Peter Grant himself. And, those of a certain age know who Peter Grant is. And also I pull out my phone with the beautiful picture of our spokesmodel, Danila Rodrigues. Like, oh, my God, who's that? That's our model. We have a model for radio. And I made her, if you look at the picture, I made her wipe down the sink. And Ed's like, yeah, he did. But anyways, it was just a knockdown, drag-out event. I mean, it's all organic. None of it was. I was just planned because it was at the Legion. They had the food and they had the guests and this, that, and the other thing. But just the camaraderie of the people and just the jokes and just Ed just going up. It's like, can I say a few words? And it worked. And just like the show, it worked. Like Walt and Mike, they were out. And Ed was available, and he said, hey, I'll be at the Electric Palm. I said, should I do the show there? I was like, yeah. And then Ray Simon knocked it out of the park. Ed came on. He's knocking it out of the park, and I'm just sitting here looking at pictures of Danila. But anyways, that's why, I told Ed, texted Ed on the way home. I was like, you know what? This is the greatest radio show ever. And the reason why it's the greatest radio show ever is not because of the host, especially this one. It's because of the people on this radio show, because of Ed, because of Danny, because of Walter, and because of Mike, and also our guest. Ray Simon was just absolutely amazing. He just shocked the hell out of me.
Ray was by far so passionate and so involved, and I mean, he started with historical memory of the last 50 years and then the last 100 years, and here we are facing the same type of world that in the 1930s and the 1940s during World War II that we were facing with such hate, and we're now cycling back into that type of situation. And his artwork, you have to go and listen to Scoop on where to find it. You have to look at it. It's very impressive, and it will grab you in a way that I don't think artists nowadays would even get you interested. He's very good at what he does.
Right. That's raysimon.art. That's raysimon.art. And when he was talking about the Charlie Kirk picture during the break, Ed and I looked at it, and it was just gut-wrenching because Ed and I happened to be at the Charlie Kirk Memorial at the Kennedy Center, and like I said last year, it was better than church. It was church to me. But we can go on about this, Charlie Kirk, what he meant to us, and what he's done for us, and the legacy he left. And then afterwards, after Ed and I left, we decided to get together because it's just like, just so moving. It's just the people and I told and it was very moving for me because my daughter was with me because I didn't know she followed Kirk, but I said to her, you know what? Some of the most powerful people in the entire nation are in this room right here, right now.
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, I couldn't even believe we were there because everybody around us was somebody we'd seen on TV or in a documentary or somewhere. It was amazing. But I would like to leave you with a really, really quick thing. Please, we're all unique. We all have important things to share. Truth to power. Stand up when you can. Stand up when you can and make things right.
All right, for Ed Huebner, this is Peter Scoop Stanton reminded you, you can make a difference. Go out and make it. See you next week. Thank you, everyone.
James Edwards for 7-5 Radio. For those who work the streets and the jails, thanks for keeping us safe. So long, everybody.